Everybody, Mike Newmeyer. Great to be with you again this week. We're going to talk about retirement, and let me mention this is a promotion that is available right now at 65 years old, and we have numbers for all ages after 60 years old. But at 65, you can get 7.5% every year for the rest of your life, the rest of your spouse's life. Okay? If you call me, you want to call me at 410 902 0464, and you can ask questions, and I can talk to you about this and other things, and you can also make appointments at that number, 410 902 0464. Don't hesitate. This is not going to be available forever. Okay. And especially I want to mention that people that are with the federal government that are leaving government have TSPs to roll over, and we do a lot of work with those. And incidentally, even if you're staying with the government, if you're 59 and a half, you can roll over any amount you want to out of your TSP. Of course, if you're no longer employed, you can roll the whole thing over, and this can be a very substantial number, and it can return a great deal of money to you for the rest of your life. So those are a couple ideas I want to give you. Now, these seminars, every week when we talk about our seminar, we're working from my established seminar I've done for many years. And I'm going to start again at the beginning. And we're going to, each session, each week, we have a little bit of time, and we're going to talk about different sections. But by no means, this is all the information in the seminars. We have no seminars scheduled at this time. If you've got a group of a dozen people or more at your work or somewhere else, I'm more than happy to present this seminar for the benefit of your group. Okay? So keep that in mind. Now, the beginning of the seminar, the introduction, we're going to talk about how different people view retirement today. Okay? This may trigger some thoughts on your part and may help some people. So, traditional view of retirement was based on pensions in the old days. You work for a certain length of time and then you got a pension. A typical example would be railroads. They all had pensions, and when you got to a certain age, let's say it was 65, you could retire and you got that pension. Okay? Now you could do it. The second question is, do you have enough money to retire? People always think about a number like, well, you have to have 500,000 or a million or whatever the number is in order to retire. Let me say this about that. Number one, it's not the amount of money. It's the amount of income that you have. Income and expenses. Income and expenses. Those are the two things that you have to worry about and concern about and plan for. So if you're going to get a pension, obviously that's part of the income. Another part always will be Social Security. And then anything else along those lines that are going to give you a lifetime income, which is where we come in. What we do, we deal in lifetime income products for retirement. That's what we do. That is the focus of our work is to help people retire and stay retired. Now, what retirement means to one person is not necessarily the same as it means to somebody else. It may mean, spending time doing things they like to do more. Every day is Saturday is the old saying about retirement. Or it might not mean that. It might be some other things. It might mean the need to help family members, to take care of aging parents or spouse or whatever. Today, there's so many things that we encounter that need to be attended to. I mean, obviously, there's dementia and Alzheimer's, which are devastating to many people. And I saw that in my own family. So, there's various things that may exist in your particular situation that retirement is going to be spent doing parts of that at least. So you want to look at all those things and what do those things cost. What do they cost and how much time? You may want to work part-time. There's many people that continue working. They change careers and they continue working. Maybe they need to. Maybe they have to. There's a couple of ways that people generally approach retirement. And that's people that just want to get away from what they're doing. They don't want to do it anymore. So that's a group of people that are trying to get away from something. And then there's another group of people want to go to something. They want new experiences. They have a particular thing they want to do. Again, it may be taking care of people. but they feel that the need to do that and want to do it. So they're going to something. And that's and each way you're affected is going to affect what kind of money you need to do it. So whether you're going to take care of your parents or other family members and so forth, or instead you're going to travel and enjoy yourself, each have attendant differences in costs. And you have to know what they are. You have to be able to project. And I tell people, do it conservatively, but that may not mean what you think it means. That means overestimate the cost, because you got inflation and availability and scarcity when it comes to travel. There was a while there we had a hard time getting airplane flights. That'll come and go, depending on a lot of different reasons. Supply and demand is a big issue. And there's some little things you can do along the way to help that, and also to make travel easier. If you have some kind of disability in the family and a family member that's going to travel, my advice is get there as early as possible for check-in, and also, arrange for things like wheelchairs and that sort of thing. And one of the best things you can do, if you can do it, is to not check any luggage. Carry on only. If you do that, you can get out of the airport a lot faster. And of course, during vacation times, we find very crowded airports. I understand they're going to simplify security soon, and that'll help. Okay, so I'm kind of getting off the topic, but the point is, different aspects apply to different kinds of retirement. And again, I know people that are just going from one job to another, or one job to part-time work. Some folks don't view retirement. They say, rather than retire, I want to continue doing what I do. I love doing what I do. And I can relate to that, because I love doing what I've been. I've been doing this for 26 years, and I've enjoyed all of it. I like helping people. So after a while, if your values change to some extent, and you can find those values in what you're doing, then that's fine. Or you want to see values in doing something else. I know people that retire and do church work. I know people that retire and do all kinds of charitable work. They do things like Meals on Wheels, and they serve at food places and so forth. There's just so many different things you can do. And maybe you do a little of this and a little of that. I've got a brother-in-law that's like that. He does a little of this, a little of that, and he still does a little bit of consulting work. So he's got a mixed palette that he's dealing with, and a mixed plate of things that he wants to do. Okay? So that's, so retirement is different things to different people. In my brother-in-law's case, he's got a lot of things he's doing, and my sister is doing a lot of different things. And then they get together to do things together. So there's various things. You talk to your spouse about what you're going to do with your time in retirement. It's very important. It's not just the money. It's very important to have an understanding of what's important to the other person. You may think that what you want is what they want. Not necessarily true. There may be different things that they're concerned with. I know a couple where the wife's very concerned about her mother because her mother's aging and her health's not that good. She will spend a lot of time with her mother. He will do other things, and they have an understanding about that. So, those things need to be discussed, way before you actually retire. And then you set a date if you want to for retirement. You tell the family, or your immediate family, your sons, your daughters, your brothers, your sisters, and so forth, when you're going to retire. And they will feed back with their interest in seeing you or doing things with you and so forth and so on. Now you start to do some happy planning. So, but letting your family know what's going on. And maybe you're going to downsize, and you know that. Or maybe you're going to move closer to parts of your family, like your kids if they're out of state. Maybe that's what you're going to do. Or maybe you're going to stay exactly where you are. And I know people that move from Baltimore, as an example, go to Florida and come back. I have a number of people that have retired from here that I've helped retire and have gone to other states and come back. And many have stayed. But, if you're moving for a reason like helping family, that may change at some point and you may come back. So you need to think about the possibilities. If you're going to downsize and you're going to sell your home and you want to buy a vacation home, or you want to buy a smaller home, what's the interest rate? What kind of position will you be in if you do it? Is it less expensive to live in different areas? Are there less taxes? We all know that. We all know about that. And why and where do you think about wanting to go? And can you do some pre-studying, evaluating those areas, learning about what's available, what's it going to cost, and so forth and so on. Now, if you're planning to move in 5 years, that information is no longer going to be the same. But if you're planning to retire in 6 months or a year, and then you plan to downsize and move, closer to your other part of your other family members or whatever, that's a good time to start working with somebody, find the answers to those questions. Okay, so those are some things, and then I'm going to find some other notes here I want to mention to you. That in retirement, there's oftentimes new opportunities. Some of those you may have planned for. Maybe you want to discover more. Maybe you want to visit various places where you can learn more possibilities. Maybe you've always wanted to play tennis and you want to explore tennis lessons. Maybe you always wanted to go to more sporting events. Whatever you are more interested in, then you should inspect and look at those things ahead of time. Maybe you just love horses and you want to watch horses. And that Queen Elizabeth, of course, she's gone now, but Queen Elizabeth used to dress like an old lady. Of course, she was an old lady, but she would come over, and people wouldn't know who she was. And she came over just to go over on Swan Road and go out in the country and look at the beautiful horses. So different things appeal to different people. Some people want to go fishing all the time. I have a friend that does that. Every time that the temperature's right and so forth and so on, he's out there fishing with a group of people that he fishes with. He'd do it every day if he could. I don't know that his wife would want to always do that. And so, having things that you can do with your wife and so forth, or your husband, and things that you want to do with another group, that's all have to be discussed and planned. Okay, so those are some of the possibilities. And then you have to think about health, of course. What is going to constrain what you want to do based on your health and your immediate family's health? If you're not really able to do a lot of physical things, you got to take that, and obviously you have to take that into consideration. Although I know some people that are semi-disabled that are doing an awful lot of things that I'd never think of the possibilities of doing, and are very active. So those are some things that you have to think about. Okay, and then let me go on from there. What's the age that is most advantageous financially for retiring? Well, you could say that the full benefit age for you with Social Security is something to consider, of course. But, at the same time, let me point this out when it comes to Social Security. I may have mentioned this last week. It is true, of course, that if you retire at 62, you're going to get less money from Social Security than if you wait, say, 4 or 5 years and get to the age of full retirement benefits. That's true. However, if you're not going to work, or if you're going to work part-time, then you could still retire at 62 and not have a problem with making too much money to not continue to qualify for it. But if you retire at 62, is that a financial disadvantage? Here's what you want to think about. Let's say you retire at 62 and you could have retired at 67. So you've got 5 years or 60 months that you're not going to get income from Social Security. Take those 60 months and add that up. How much is it? If it was $2,000 a month, that's $120,000, isn't it? Would you be better off to take that money now, early? We don't know how long we're going to live. That's one thing to consider. If your health is not that great, that's part of the picture. So you want to look at that. It takes 9 years every time we figure it out to get back to where you would have been if you had, in other words, the money that you lost up until that time, to get that money back that you lost by not doing it, it takes about 9 years. Well, gee whiz. If you waited to 67 and didn't take the money, let's say hypothetically, and it takes nine years to make it up, you see you're aging quite a bit. And the question is, are we going to be around to enjoy it? So that's the main issue in my mind. There's other issues, a lot of issues in Social Security. And incidentally, and I've said this before, you can go on ss.gov and you can open a personal account where they will tell you all the possibilities with your age and your circumstances. Okay, so those are some things you want to think about. And also pensions. Obviously the age that you retire in is going to affect the amount of money that you would get from a pension if you have one. And the longer you work, hopefully you're accumulating more money in your 401k or TSB or whatever. That is to say, if the market holds up, so forth. But there are ways to mitigate the possibilities, negative possibilities, by simply investing in lower, volatility kinds of funds. Maybe you want to do it for a while up to the match so that you get the match from your employer. There's lots of possibilities, but that goes back to how much money do you need in income. So, I guide folks and counsel with them about all these matters when they come to see me. Anything they want to talk about, I'm here and ready to talk about those things. And anything you tell me is like you telling a doctor something. It has to be confidential. I'm not allowed to disclose information that I learned from you. So you can feel safe about that. Okay. A lot of folks like to go back to school when they get to be retirement. I know folks that do things that surprise me. I've got a friend that's 63 years old, retired, and went to law school. I said, "Are you going to start a new career?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "But I've always been interested in law, so I'm going to go ahead and pursue it." I said, "Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful." And he's going to go during the day. You could go during the day or at night, but he's going to go during the day, so he's not out at night. And his wife is going to continue to work for a few years, so that the days are consumed anyway. So he's going to go ahead and go to school during the day, and then he'll see his wife at night and do various things. Okay, so that's interesting to me that people would go back to school. I know people have gone back to school for things like music and art and all kinds of things, or taken more than taking various audited courses. They're not getting credit for the courses. I know somebody that's gone back to school to study history. Now she wants to actually teach history in high school. I'd like to see him teach history in high school, but anyway, maybe by the time she finishes her classes, they'll be back to doing, basic things like history in high schools. Anyway, so those are some things that people actually think about doing. I have another friend that has been a vocalist, not a professional, all his life. Excuse me. And consequently, what he wants to do is he wants to sing in his church choir, which requires a lot of rehearsing. And so that's something he always wanted to do, did a little bit while he was working, and now is going to devote much more time to the church and, to church singing. He also plays some instruments, so he hopes to do some of that also. Okay. I know another person that's gone back to acting school so he can act in a local playhouse and so forth in his communities. Hey, whatever appeals. If you can enjoy something, go for it. And I tell people that I say, "Well, I hesitate. I pose." Don't do it. If you think you'd like to try, do it. You only want to live so long, so why not enjoy some of these things? So those are some possibilities that I want to mention to you when you're thinking about retirement. And health and fitness, got to take care of it more as you get older. If you want to live long, you got to take care of your body. So planning, inserting more of that into your schedule on a regular basis, and then sticking with it. A lot of folks start that sort of thing, go to gyms and do things like that, and then they just kind of drop off over time. They lose interest. And I tell them they're not losing their body yet. So why not keep it in good shape so you can enjoy yourself? There's a lot of information out there about health now. You can go online and you can learn a lot of things. And of course, the television is even catering more to folks that are aging, because that's a big audience. That's something that they really are interested in doing, because it's a big market. And there's a tremendous amount of things that you'll see in the mail all the time from various sources. So, this is a time to do more. I like reading the newspaper. I could go online and read some of it. I like holding a newspaper and reading it. I like to read newspapers that I never read before, and so forth. There's a lot out there. There's a lot of material out there that will cater to the needs and interests that you have. Okay, so those are some things you want to think about. And I want to go back and mention, that we do a section every week. Now, this is just a little bit of this section. And if I have time next week, I'll try to finish it, but we may not be able to. But we do repeat these, we go through all the sections in the seminar. So if you keep listening, of course, you're going to pick up a lot more. And also, they're available. Everything we do is available on our website, which is Game Plan for Retirement. You can go on Game Plan for Retirement, www. Game Plan for Retirement, and you're going to find an awful lot of information that's offered there. And you can replay some of the radio shows and podcasts. And of course, you're more than welcome, always welcome, to come in and see me. I love to talk to folks. I love to listen to people, what their needs are, what their interests are, what their concerns are, and then try to help them as much as I can. Whether they become a client or not is not the issue. I enjoy helping folks, and I don't mind them coming in just to talk to me and ask me questions, and show me what they're doing, and ask an opinion, whatever. I'm available and never have charged for time. I know a lot of people in this business do, but I think it's self-defeating sometimes, because the reality is that not everybody that will need help can actually afford to pay for time. So that's of no consequence to me. I've been doing it this way for 25, 26 years. And I learn a lot from everybody that I talk to. Some circumstance that I had never seen before, heard about, or knew very little about, I'm able to understand, their situation better. And understanding allows me to help them more. Okay, so those are some things. And I want to mention again, that we have a wonderful program where you can get a very, very nice retirement amount of money. This is a lot better than it was a few years ago. If you go back, 5-10 years ago, you couldn't get more than about 4 or 5%, more like 4% in retirement, because rates were lower. Now, if you can take advantage of high rates, one of the big advantages of high rates now is that these kinds of products are paying almost twice as much. That's why you can get 7.5% at 65, because it's just about double. That's not going to be around when the Fed lowers rates. Then all of these things come down. But if you can take advantage, like take a TSP. Let's say you're not going to retire for a year, but you're 61 or 2 or whatever. You can roll it over and keep your TSP open. You can roll it over, take advantage of the higher rates, and get that income started. And if you don't want to pay taxes, you can have the income go into, take it annually, and you can once a year, do what's called a rollover under the Security Act of 2015. And you put that into an interest-bearing account of any kind, CDs or whatever, and it stays tax deferred. It is an IRA account. You set it up that way. So those are some things that do actually help people retire early and plan for retirement. So those are things to think about. And I really have enjoyed, being with you folks today. And I hope that you'll take advantage of the, free time that I'm offering and the questions. And again, my telephone number is 410-902-0464. And again, Game Plan for Retirement, Newmeyer Consulting, online. So you can call, you can look online, you can learn information there. You may want to call and talk about some of the things that you're learning online, or things that I've said in the seminars each week, or something that has nothing to do with any of those things. And I'm very receptive to those kinds of things. Love to have you call. Love to have you come in. Love to see you in person. And we have a lot of existing clients that take advantage of our offers that they see on on the podcast and hear about on the radio. And it's great. I love it. Been doing it for a long time. Been on and off the radio for 15 years. And I always come back on, because I enjoy it, and I enjoy talking to people and encourage them to come in for help. Okay? So I hope that you'll take advantage of some of those things. Again, Mike Newmeyer, 410-902-0464. Give me a call. Thank you.